All right, so here we are. We've got our floor plan is done, and so what we're working on now is we've got to start putting the walls into this place, and so the walls, they're a little bit particular about how we do them because when we start putting in things like windows and doors, we have to have properly sized walls in order for all that to work. The developers have a material or a texture here that shows their preferred wall height for the game. And it seems a little high, but once you start playing, it feels pretty good and it doesn't feel exceptionally high. You can see this is the scale character silhouette here, and you can kind of see the height of the wall. So it looks like a really high wall, but when you actually play the game, this is the size or the height of the walls that they use throughout Half-Life. So they're scaled to the player and the perspective of the player and the way they look in the game. So if we did them exactly accurate, if your house has, 8 or 10 foot ceilings, they might seem a little low and cramped. So for this, we're going to go with the Half-Life standard of wall height. And then, when we start making our own levels or additions to this, we can vary it a little bit. But for this particular map, we're going to use the developer's standard. Now I'm going to show you how I put these materials on here and kind of give you a rundown of how I made the walls and where my door openings, how I'm going to set those up and stuff. So first off, these are just going to start out with your block tool, just like everything. So I'm going to grab my block tool, I'm going to draw out a block, and the thing about the walls is they are 8 units thick. That's going to be kind of our standard house normal dwelling thickness. We're going to go for 8 units or 8 inches thick. So however you want to do that, you can look down here and set it to 8. Remember, if we go to map, units, feet and inches, it'll give me the dimensions of it. So I'm going to set this to 8, and if I look down here, I can see that I've got 8 inches wide. The length of it really doesn't matter right now, okay, and I'll show you why. And then for the height, when we look at it from the side here, the height is 64. Valve wants your walls to be 128 on the height. So I'm just going to grab this and I'm going to run this up. I'm watching my height right here. I'm at 105. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to keep going. And I'm going to go right to 128. Press enter to create it. And that is my wall segment. What I do is I create one wall segment and then I just create copies of it throughout the house. That way I don't have to go through the process of, creating a new wall and getting all the fancy measurements every single time. So I'll create a single wall segment like I've done here. So now I've got this piece of wall, and if I need it longer, I can stretch it out. If I need it shorter, I can go the other way. If I need to reverse it, if I need to change the direction of it, what I will do is I'll just shrink it to 8 this way, and then I'll stretch it this way. So now I've changed the direction of the wall. There is a rotation tool, which I'll show you later when we're working on props, but I don't like using it because if you don't rotate it right, you'll have your walls will be off by a couple degrees, and it just looks horrible. You'll have these walls that are slightly crooked. So for now, we're just going to keep everything nice and square on the grid. We're going to be 90-degree nice corners and stuff like that. Okay, so that's my basic starting point. So I create this wall. It's 128 units tall. You can see the 128 right there. It's 8 units thick. And then the width or the length of it here really doesn't matter because it's just going to be whatever I need for the size of the wall. I'll stretch it out. But those are the two things I need to remember: 128 tall, and it's going to be 8 thick. And then don't forget, it needs to be sitting on the floor. So when you place that wall, here's my floor right here, and you see the wall is sitting right on top of it. You don't want the wall buried in the ground because you're going to lose 8 inches off the wall when you do that. So your height is only going to be 120. So make sure the wall is sitting on top of the floor, because remember our rules, we're not supposed to overlap brushes. So this wall should be sitting right on top of the floor, flush with the floor, and that's going to give me the proper height of 128 and then a thickness of 8, which you said. So that's a good wall. Now let's put this developer texture on it. So for this point, I want all of your walls done in dev texture, and then once we're done with the layout and you submit your picture to me, then you can go back and change them to whatever you want: plaster, stucco, brick, wood, whatever makes you happy. So to change my material texture, I'm going to come over here to my texture tool. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to get my little face edit sheet. Okay, so texture tool, it's this green, blue, red block right here. I get my face edit. I'm going to browse, and I'm going to type in wall, and it gives me lots of walls. So I'm going to, or I'm sorry, we're not doing wall. We're going to do dev, D-E-V. Okay, so under dev, these are all the developer textures, and they give us a lot of heights and widths and things like that. Like there's one for stairs, for wall outlets, keypads, light switches, crates that Gordon can jump on. These are computer templates for the developers. You're going to see one that's got a little silhouette of a person. That's the one I want to use. So I'm going to double click it, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm just going to right click. Okay. And I'm going to apply it. I'm going to go ahead and put it all the way around. There we go. Okay. Now what you're going to notice here is that mine, the material, the texture's not lined up. It's all crooked, and it doesn't, like, this is all nice and lined up with the floor. You can see the character, you can see the edges, the tops, and everything. There's even a white border here at the bottom. But on this one over here, it's not like that. It's messed up. So we have to adjust that. So if we go to our texture tool, and we select by clicking on this face right here, you're going to see some texture shift tools. And if I move these, you can see the texture shifting. So I don't really care about the left to right texture because the walls are going to be different lengths. But my walls are going to be the same height. So on the y-axis, I am going to shift it down or up, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to line that up with the ground. So I'm going to get it so that that white line at the bottom is just barely showing. I'm going to go down here so you can see it a little better. So see, I'm a little bit high here, so I'm going to bring this down. Right there should be good. Okay, so that's going to be close enough for me. So that is my developer texture applied properly. Now you'll notice it's not right on this side here. I adjusted this side, so that means if I come over here and I right click, it's going to apply that adjusted texture to it. So once I make those texture adjustments, like that's what's in the tool, like that's the texture that's currently loaded in my tool. So if I come around and I click right here, right click, see it applied it, now my character is standing right there. And I'll do it right here on this edge too. Okay. All right. Now, our goal today is to get all the walls of your house done. First floor, second floor. Don't stack the floors yet, okay? The requirements, the walls are 128 units tall. The walls are 8 units thick. And anywhere you have a door opening or a window opening, I need you to leave a gap, okay? The width of the gap doesn't really matter because once we make that gap, it's really simple for me to come back in and adjust the gap. Okay, I can come in here and change this gap anytime I want to. But if I don't leave a gap, I'm going to have to, move a wall and add another piece. There is a cutting tool But again, it's not really easy to use, and it's so much faster to just create these pieces right here. And then eventually what we'll end up doing is grabbing this piece, and I'll create a copy of it to create what we would call like the header. So I'll just take this piece, stretch it across, and then I'll grab the bottom, lift it, and that would create my actual door opening. And then for a window's just a door with one extra step. So I'll grab this, copy it down to the bottom, and line it up. And that creates a window for me. So if you're comfortable or you're fast enough, go ahead and create, the headers and the bottom pieces there on the windows and doors. If not, just getting the walls in today is all I need from you. So, but key takeaways here: the walls are 128 tall, they are 8 units thick, 8 inches thick, and I want to use the Dev Texture, DEV. When you go into your texture tool here, go to your texture tool, browse, type in Dev, DEV. We're looking for this one right here. Okay, that's going to be my wall, and we're going to apply that everywhere we need it here on this on all my walls. And then remember, we need to align it. So if I've got a wall in here, let's see, where did I build that? There it is. Okay, so if I've got this wall right here, I need to make sure that I take my tool here and I use these texture shift tools to adjust it up and down, because I want that texture applied to the wall properly. It needs to be lined up so that now I've got my good 128 scale on the walls. Thickness is 8, but you're not going to measure that with the texture, but I want the walls to be 8 thickness, 128 tall, with a Dev Texture applied to them. And we're going to go ahead and just, for today, we're just going to simply leave openings for the doors and windows. So anywhere you've got a door opening in your house, you're just going to just leave a gap, just like this. Okay? Same thing with a window. If you've got a window, for today you could just leave a gap like that. If you're kind of starting to get the hang of this, go ahead and put in the headers above and a little wall below the window. But if you're still kind of slow and getting the hang of this, just leave a gap for me for today. All right? And that is it for today. So we're going to do our walls today, and probably tomorrow we'll go back through and take care of all the headers and stuff, and we'll see where we're at tomorrow. We'll see where everybody's at. All right? So that is it for today.